matter. But these two cuts and the removal of osteophytes from the medial aspect of femur, the removal of osteophytes from the medial aspect of tibial surface, once you have done it and you are still having your posterior osteophytes on the femur, what you are going to get? If you see posterior osteophytes, once they are removed, they will make the extension gap increase by 1 to 2 millimeters. So if the tightness after these two cuts and removal of osteophytes is 8 millimeters, wait, you have to watch what Dr. Anil Arora said. It should not be down so that you notch the inferior. It should not be so up that you are cutting the posterior cortex of the femur. These are the two no-nos. And then when you tilt, sometimes the cut is absolutely going to the epicondyle. You have to see that. That is something is wrong somewhere. Just try to reassess everything. These are the things you have to
do. Which is going for TKR. How and what should be looked for in a good clinical and radiological examination in a patient who is going for TKR?
In X-ray.
In X-ray as well as clinically.
Observation you have to make. All varus knee are not stiff. Few of them will find they have extension, they have hyperextension. All varus knee. So do not start with big releases. Before surgery, we always examine the deformity and the movement and the laxity. Three things we always examine. I have videos to show you where the knee varus has standing flexion deformity, not correctable. We have knees which are varus deformity, are correctable to neutral in full extension. So releases will differ in these patients. And we have patients where you have a marked varus deformity, but you can take it to even 5 degree or 10 degree hyperextension, because patient has been walking on that in hyperextension for years together. So now, more the knee goes into hyperextension, less liberal are you in taking your distal femoral cut. Sometimes if the knee is going into hyperextension, I will take only 8 millimeter, I never take 9 millimeter then. Because I can always revise 1 millimeter more. More lax is the knee, less cut to take from tibia, because the gap will open up too much. And if you have a classical, the so-called varus flexion deformity, then you do the classical posterior medial release. So preclinical examination, preoperative examination is essential. In X-rays, you see all the osteophytes, make up your mind, you see all the defects, and you see the condyles. You know, many of these patients, they have hypertrophic medial femoral condyle because they're walking in varus for so long. And when you are using a jig for femoral rotation, it can throw your jig into internal rotation. Flexion deformity. In many patients, you will find a large osteophyte on the anterior aspect of tibia which is responsible for flexion deformity. Take it off, you can extend. So don't be in a hurry to take off more distal femur that you see, oh, this patient has already flexion deformity. We have X-rays with the large anterior osteophyte tibia is responsible for flexion deformity. So all these things you have to observe on an X-ray before surgery. So X-ray examination as well as clinical examination is paramount before you put your knife. You need to have a feel. Okay, fine. This patient has 5 degree flexion deformity when he's walking. This is the feel. And on table, once the patient is trained, you know that this was the feel I have corrected. That you need to see. Clinical examination.
During operation, if you get the prior MRI done, then just going on the X-ray, is there any change of planning?
I don't. Absolutely. Sometimes you know, knee.
There is unexplained destruction of knee more, destruction of knee more on one side, then I will get an additional investigation to find synovitis, anything else, to rule out what Dr. Prasad has said. Otherwise, the MRI does not contribute.
Sir, if you have taken the cut and you see that the cuts are like tapered, like in extension as well as in flexion, and both are equal. But if you put the lateral spreader both the sides, you find it is opening one more.
Take it into consideration before you cut.
Equalizing
flexion extension gap. Okay. When you're taking your flexion gap, you try to tense it. Then you see.
Okay, not simply lifting the femur.
That will come out the same. There are many ways to do that. Laminar spreader. You have 2 handles on the femoral jig. You can ask your assistant to pull up the thigh and you pull the tibia. There are many ways to tense that gap and see and have an idea how lax is the femur, how lax is this joint inflection. And then you balance it. And then you take your cuts also. That's what we told. If the lateral gap is too much inflection, means lateral profile is far too stretched, then what I do, I tend to rotate the femoral component slightly more into external rotation, taking care that I don't notch the femur,
that will give me an advantage of lessening the flexion gap on lateral side and getting some more flexion gap on the medial side.
So increase the rotation.
But again, the same thing is to a certain extent. Sometimes you accept slightly more flexion gap on the lateral side in flexion in our circumstances. Don't worry too much about it.
So you do this exercise before taking the posterior cut.
I always examine. Once I take a distal cut, flex the knee. I examine how lax is the knee. I can show the videos that they are all with me, whatever you are asking.
And if it is like wedging in the extension gap, then you, in extension, if you find there is lateral more, then you do by only soft tissue release or?
Yeah, it's not officially, because here you cannot change your classical standard cuts of femur being 90 degrees to the mechanical axis and tibia 90 degrees to the mechanical axis. You cannot change that. You have to adjust everything by your soft tissue release.
So first you make extensor gap rectangular, then
I try to do it, but sometimes it's an exercise I do it after trial also. There are posterior osteophytes I tend to remove after I've done my femur. There are surgeons who remove posterior osteophytes before doing their femur. This will cut, remove their osteophytes, balance the extension, and then go to flexion. That is one way. Other way, you take a distal cut, you know there is still out on the medial side, you will do titrated release, you will get it. I do it on my trials.
Okay, Frank, please. Oh, sorry.
Flexion deformities, there are 2 3 things you will find. I take slightly more femoral distal cut to compensate for that. That is one. To fill up, you will find more flexion gap in these deformities. Take slightly larger femur to fill up the flexion.
Already know your extension gap. So you can go one size up, down, depending, you have to create same space in the flexion. So if 4 is giving you same space, like extension space, go for 4. If 3 is giving, if you little bit overhang doesn't matter. Even revision, we are accepting that. If 3 is giving you same space like extension, then go for 4.
But I think you'll be much safer. You'll be find in these inflammatory disorders and see the flexion gap, how big it is. You find it massive.
I think flexion deformity lecture is there, but only 2 things which is add on. Number 1, inflammatory disorders will be alright. Posterior capsule release and osteophytes and distal femur cut increase. These are the 3 things which you have got in your hand, and I can tell you till date I have never done a gastroenterologist still yet. Yes, but once you cut the posterior capsule, you can cut it with the other knee, and you can take your under and lift it up after you have done all the cuts, and just try to erase more of the capsule from the backside of the femur. That is going to give you a lot of leeway in increasing the extension gap. In flexion deformity, the problem is there is a tightness of the extension gap. That's all. The flow will start with Dr. Yadav's talk on overview, so that you can understand the subsequent lectures on the back, varus knee and flexion knee, and other things.
Nobody is saying you see that.
If time permits, we have got 2 issues. Number 1, direct anterior approach video. We have asked Dr. Mahalingam to show to the delegates. Read any book on the cementing technique, and 80% of the people are doing cementing.
Talking of THR?
Yeah, THR. So that
The change in practice, that is very fantastic change in practice in total knee arthroplasty, like pain management. For me, in total knee arthroplasty, regarding the design of processes, it is now useless, because it is from every process is giving excellent result for 2 weeks. That we should take care. Second, if you do not do total knee arthroplasty properly, it is not forgiving at all. Total hip is very forgiving surgery. Total hip में आपने dislocation रोक लिया, infection नहीं होना चाहिए, 2 चीज ठीक है, तो almost अच्छा अभी गारंटी के साथ में अब 10 साल से ऊपर की बात हो गई. But it is not true in the total knee arthroplasty. In total knee arthroplasty, even after excellent, सब कुछ ठीक है, आपको भी पता है कि आपने अच्छा काम किया, X-ray, CT, even then patient may not be satisfied. So pain management. Second, blood loss management, especially bilateral knee. I always do bilateral until unless patient is unfit, whether it is hip and knee. So blood loss management. Now there are lots of work over the how to reduce the blood loss, how to reduce the number of transfusions. Once you have decided once patient comes to then how to offer him arthroplasty. The patient who are more suffering, अगर उसका joint बदलोगे, especially knee, then they are more satisfied. It is true. And if patient is having not only pain, having deformity and stiffness as well, especially severe varus or severe valgus, and with pain, these patients are very, very satisfied. So when you are dealing them, take care of all these. Just तो pain है, उसको straight knee है, joint space mildly reduced है, then patient will not be satisfied. And once you have decided we have to operate the patient, use optimally constrained implant, like you can use from CR to HG, okay, depending on the situation and circumstance. But constraint should be used as less as possible. And as I told you, rest, other issues are not important. Then how much constraint? When patient is having unicompartmental arthritis, then you can go for either unicompartmental arthroplasty or HTO. I always advocate HTO. My colleague is doing HTO and I have seen he is giving good result, he is fantastic result. And unicompartment arthroplasty that is done and recommended by less than 20% surgeon all over the world. Especially our circumstances, go for HTO. If you are thinking, indications are almost same and HTO gives excellent and revision after HTO is no problem. But revising the unicompartmental is as difficult as revising any knee. And if all good bone stock, go for all poly, there is no problem. All poly also give very good result. And minimum deformity and the young patient go for CR designs. And mild deformity, you can go for rotating platform or even rotating high flex designs. If it is not very much deformity, you can go fixed bearing as well. Moderate deformity, do not go for rotating platform as it clearly mentioned in the literature, but it is controversial statement. I always prefer fixed bearing. Severe deformity, either go for fixed bearing and posterior stabilized design, avoid CR design. For beginner, you should, PS design is much more forgiving than the CR design. अगर आपको टोटली शुरू कर रहे हो तो PS से शुरू करो. If you leave little bit imbalance, I call it as a physiological imbalance. 2 millimeter एक ज़्यादा खोल रहा है एक तरफ नहीं है. Then PS design is very poor, but it should be physiological, not very much. Otherwise, joint will fail. And severe deformity, boneless, go for fixed bearing, then or constraint extension rod is needed in this situation. If there is a bone defect, if your tibial tray is not fully covered, either put a screw or put a extension rod. It gives strong additional stability to the tibial tray. Global instability, go for the hinge design. In more than 90% situation, we come out with the PS design. Really, like constraint and all these things are needed. So, as I told you, use optimally constraint design. If you use undue constraint very much, then what will happen? More joint stress, it will fail. If you use undue unconstrained design, like आपने CR use कर लिया, joint properly balanced नहीं है, then what will happen? Patient will have instability. So it may lead to aseptic loosening. So constraint should be optimum. So both things are important. Now, very important question. लोग सोचते हैं कि बोन कट ले लो, इम्प्लांट लगा दो और नी हो जाएगा. It is absolutely wrong. मेरा एक क्लासिफिकेशन है, मैं तीनों को equally, for me all three things are equally important. If you have taken a fantastic cut, fantastic balancing or cementing technique, especially on tibial tray side, then joint is bound to fail within 6 months, 1 year or 2 years. फायदा बेकार हो गया, आपने अच्छे कट लिए थे, अच्छी बैलेंसिंग की थी. और सीमेंटिंग को लोग केयरफुली नहीं करते हैं. It is as important as in total hip arthroplasty. So all three are equally important. एक भी कुछ गड़बड़ है, joint will fail. और फिर दोनों जो अच्छे काम भी किए वो बेकार हो जाएगा. These are the knee stabilizers, all medial, lateral, anterior, posterior. I think everybody know this is anatomy. So important thing is that medial collateral ligament and ligamentum patelli and popliteus tendon. These are the most commonly prone to injury. When you are taking cut, take care of these things. You should keep in mind, especially when you are taking tibial cut. When you are taking femoral cut, take care of collaterals and take care of you do not do notching. And when you are doing distal femoral cut, you do not damage the tibia. Tibia नीचे होती है. And when you are taking posterior femoral cut, take care of posterior structure, popliteal vessels. So you should keep these things in mind. Like in the tibial cut, what happens? This corner has this popliteus tendon. Posterolateral corner में अगर आपने बहुत rash आपने saw चलाया, you may cut popliteus tendon. And here anteriorly you may cut partially this ligamentum patelli. So take care. अगर थोड़ा बहुत bone इधर बच भी जाता है lateral corner पर, don't bother. बाद में उसको expose करो, femoral cut ले लो, फिर उसको either rest कर दो, nibbler से निकाल दो. बजाय कि आप उस and medial side you may damage here medial collateral ligament. Now the approaches, that is also very important issue. Most commonly two approaches are done, either parapatellar or mid-vastus approach. And skin incision, I put it little medially, so it is not directly over the ligamentum patelli. That is important. कभी कुछ superficial skin healing की problem होती है. अगर medial ligamentum patelli से medially है, tendons are very sensitive. थोड़ा सा भी environment के touch में आएंगे, tendon will slough out. So put it little medially. And skin, subcutaneous tissue and fascia, they should be raised as a single layer. That is most important. Otherwise, flat necrosis is not uncommon. And if there are two incisions, then there is a principle. बहुत ज़्यादा दूर है तो you take it, doesn't matter. और same side पर है, if you are doing revision surgeries, use same incision. As I told you, I always put in fraction skin incision and raise, as otherwise skin necrosis may take place. And medial parapatellar approach, it is excellent, it gives excellent exposure, and patella eversion is easy in this approach, and it is most commonly used. But problem with this approach is that post-op recovery, like extension करने में patient को परेशानी होती है in parapatellar approach. And or the patient may have patellofemoral instability, and mid-vastus give better patellofemoral tracking, better patellofemoral stability. I will not go into the details. Now mid-vastus approach, it gives as good as exposure as parapatellar approach if you master it, and it is preferred in valgus knee. क्योंकि valgus knee में क्या होता है, main issue होता है tracking का. If you use mid-vastus iron, more than 90% always mid-vastus, except stiff knee and revision, I can come out with excellent exposure in mid-vastus approach. And because it gives a good quadriceps strength, you do not cut the rectus tendon. And this is, you can see how to use the, how to do. Sorry, I'm really sorry. This is, and here you can go, this is where, and this is step by, it is like that. It is excellent, it gives excellent. Now there is a trick how to invert the patella. You basically release this lateral border and exercise this fat pad. Then you try to invert in extension, and you also release once you have done in extension, you release this lateral border as well. It helps with better patellar tracking as well. These are the what happens with the growing age. पहले तो पटेला सेंटर पे होता है हम लोगों का. With the growing age, पटेला को टेंडेंसी हो जाती है धीमे धीमे बाहर जाने लगता है. And patient usually have adhesions, and so you have to release that. Most of these patients have more tendency of these things. So release extension में आपने invert कर दिया. Then you do this thing, then flex it. Otherwise, you may have avulsion of ligamentum patelli. As I told you, Midwasters, it gives excellent exposure and take out all the meniscus. And what is the secret of success? Achieve rectangular space, and it should be equal space in mid flexion or extension. Or mid flexion maybe 1 to 2 millimeter more than extension. And usually we achieve 18 millimeter to 20 millimeter of space either in extension or flexion, because this space is required to accommodate the prosthesis. जो हम prosthesis poly डालते हैं उसके लिए इतना space की ज़रूरत होती है. So we achieve that. These are the various principles. I will not go into detail. I think this will be discussed by other coming speakers. Now there is a deformity correction and release. Do not go pre-operative deformity. Sometimes under anesthesia they are correctable, and sometimes they are over-correctable. Over-correctable means patient is having bone defects as well. So decision of release should be taken under anesthesia. As Dr. Arora told you, कि मैं बहुत ज़्यादा release में विश्वास नहीं करता हूँ. I also agree with that. Especially in the flat knee, you can see in this, never ever try to achieve at full extension on the table in rheumatoid or inflammatory knee. I get a lot of inflammatory knee because, as I told you, we have clinics, and you can compromise up to 5 to 10 degree deformity. Later on, within a week or two, this deformity is very easily corrected if you are taking care of physiotherapy. Few points about the lax knee. If lax knee, do not go by the jigs. Take minimum. जो jig बोल रही है उतना नहीं काटना है, उससे कम काटना है. That is the principle of how to operate a lax knee with arthritis. So now this is table how to equalize the flexion and extension space. I think this will be dealt by other surgeons, so I will not go into the detail. As I told you, both space should be equal and rectangular. And now question is cementing. Usually cement penetration is also important in total knee arthroplasty. 3 to 5 millimeter penetration is good in trabecular. Ideally 100% surface should be cemented. This is fantastic cadaver study from Sweden. I have taken all these material from that study, and peripheral, usually few implant they have peripheral lip, so they do not allow escape of the cement, so it gives better penetration. And first of all, cementing करने से पहले you have to create a fantastic bed for the cementing. What is the good bed for the cementing? Surface should be clean, dry, and hard bone you can drill it. In the hard you can drill. So it should be good surface. जब surface अच्छी होगी तभी penetration होगा, तभी cementing अच्छी होगी. So if you do not have pressure lavage, it is very costly. And do with the forceful that syringe, you can use that, clean it, suck it. So create a good bed. Now that cadaver studies say, look, first of all, few points. Femoral component usually is less than tibia. It is uncommon. And there is if you cement the femoral component, distal cut में बहुत अच्छी cementing होती है, किसी भी तरीके से करो आप. Even आप केवल implant में भी लगा दो, no problem. If in the distal cut, excellent cementing. Issue remains with the anterior condyle and posterior condyle. For the anterior condyle surface and posterior condyle, you should put cement on the bone all around, you should press it with the thumb and you should put over the component as well. So according to this cadaver study, this is the best way to cementing. दोनों पे डालो, thumb से pressurize करो, thumb is useful everywhere in the world. And even in the total hip arthroplasty, you can use this thumb for the pressurization. So that is the ideal way how to cement the femoral component. Similar is here. ये बहुत सारा this photograph is taken from the same study. इन्होंने कहा खाली component, if you put only on the component, if you put only on the bone, both techniques are bad. If you put on both but do not pressurize with the thumb, that is also not very good. So you apply cement on the both the things, pressurize it, then you will get excellent result. And that graph they have shown like that. So in broad sense, technical error should not be there at any stage, like soft tissue balancing, bone cut, cementing, avoid infection, whether it is early or late, implant itself, and patient factor, they are also, you have to take care of all these aspects. So message is, it is absolutely job of surgeons, everything is important. I have already discussed, I will not repeat these things. And tibial cut, femoral cut should be at the 90 degree of the mechanical axis. Do not internally rotate any component, and either it is parallel to the epicutalar axis or maybe little external, but do not internally rotate. Do not overstuff any compartment, whether it is anterior compartment. If anterior compartment is overstuffed, patient will have anterior knee pain, patellofemoral problem. Posterior compartment is overstuffed, then patient will have less range of motion. Range of motion is not the job of prosthesis, high flex design, it is more of height. It is the job of good surgery. अगर आप अच्छी सर्जरी करें, दोनों कंपार्टमेंट ठीक है, patient will have 130 degree of range of motion. And static quadriceps, जिसमें लोग ध्यान ही नहीं देते, even surgeon भी ध्यान नहीं देते हैं. This is very important. After the total knee arthroplasty, patient को ये बोलना है, just you contract the quadriceps. प्रयोग में बहुत अच्छी तरह उसको बता दो. मैं केवल राउंड ही इसी के लिए लेता हूँ. 3 days in a week in the evening for my patient. ये static quadriceps कर रहा है कि flexion तो आ ही जाता है. Flexion तो आना ही है, उसको तो कोई रोक ही नहीं सकता. Flexion deformity develop नहीं होने देना है. उसके लिए static quadriceps exercise is most important. Even when patient is having good quadriceps strength, gait and posture बहुत अच्छा होता है. आप भी खुद करना शुरू करो और 15 दिन बाद देखो आपके gait and posture में फर्क आ जाएगा. Thank you. Any question?